Bitcoin just tapped into the level I identified in the previous video. We have just hit that level and moved off very, very aggressively. And it looks like Bitcoin wants to keep on moving higher. But this time, I do think it's going to take the altcoins along for the ride. So if you were waiting for the exact signal for altcoins to start moving, this could be it. Now, let's get into the charts. Let's see what I'm looking at. I'm going to give you 3 altcoins that I'm looking at buying here for the next leg to the upside, which I believe should be commencing any time now. All right, so if you remember, I gave this chart in my previous video. I was saying in that video that Bitcoin is likely to come and see the $100,000 level, right? This is the value area high and the low volume node of the uptrend. I was saying Bitcoin is likely to come to the $100,000 level. The Trump and Musk feud gave us the volatility, and we ended up hitting that exact level. And obviously it's the value area high and the low volume node of the uptrend. Very, very, very important level on the charts. I told you that the stops under these lows are likely to get taken, and we're likely to see an aggressive move to the upside. So that's exactly what's happening. I expect a little bit of a move, a little bit of a move lower, just beyond 100,000, and then a reversal. But it's so aggressive. Very, very, very nice. Very, very nice reaction from that level. Not only that, $100,000 is a big psychological level as well. So a lot of people would have stop losses placed there. And obviously a lot of new orders will be placed at 100,000 round number. So several reasons why we're seeing this bounce. Number one, key levels. Number two, psychological $100,000 level. Number three, there was an overreaction from the whole Trump and Elon saga, which is no big deal, to be honest. So for several reasons, I was very bullish on this. I was very, very bullish on that. So I got the move, exactly the reaction I wanted to see. It looks very good, very, very good, very, very nice reaction. Now what I want to see from Bitcoin is continued momentum to the upside. I want to take out this high. So let's just zoom in here. I'm going to take this down to the 4-hour chart. Let's just zoom in and see closely what's going on. So you can see what a exact pivot, right? Value area high to the absolute dollar, that is, isn't it? Look at that. So nice, right? These levels are very, very strong levels, guys. You need to start paying attention. Now what I want to see from Bitcoin is locally a change in market structure. So we've got, lower highs here, right? We've got lower highs. So this could be another lower high, and we could just do that, right? We could just do that and continue down. So what I want to see locally here is I want to see Bitcoin taking out this pivot at around $106,000. I want to see Bitcoin take it out, okay, come back, maybe back test, and then look to put in new all-time highs. But so far it's looking good. It's looking like maybe next week it can challenge this. Not only that, we are being told that President Trump and the China president are set to have a meeting on the 9th of June, I think it is, somewhere there. At the time of this recording, we're on the 7th, so Monday, I think, is the meeting between China and the US presidents. Okay, so it's going to be likely very good news, likely to see some trade announcement, and I think that will give us the fuel to push higher. And yeah, I do think we're going to see a new all-time highs. I do think we're going to see a new all-time highs. It could change. It could be different. We could roll over. But yeah, for me, that looks highly unlikely. I think we're going to go and push higher. If you look at the global M2 money supply chart, actually predicted this move down, right? And then yeah, short, sharp move down. That's what we've got, and new all-time highs. It doesn't have to follow this exactly, but it's just another reason we could say we're looking for new all-time highs, right? And Dixie continues to fall. Everything is looking okay for now. New all-time highs looks in sight. Okay. The economy is softening, but we had non-farm payrolls little up surprise. We had wage growth up surprise on wage growth. So the economy is hanging in there, and I think that's obviously a good thing. Consumers starting to look a little bit stronger, even though PMIs came in weaker. Consumers are starting to look a little bit stronger, which is, in my opinion, still supports the thesis of a blow off top. I think the stock market is also going to make a new all-time highs, and I still hold my call of a recession at some point in 2026, because obviously jobless claims are still rising. Even though non-farm payrolls came in as an uptick surprise, it's still it's still going down. So the US is not actually adding that many jobs. So yeah, labor's weakening. PMIs don't look amazing. Okay, so yeah, it's unlikely that we're not going to get a recession, in my opinion, because such an aggressive hiking cycle is likely, very, very likely to lead to some form of a recession. And I think we're still going to see a blow-off top from the stock market and a blow-off top from crypto. And this is why I want to get into the next part of the video, which is altcoins. Altcoins are just not finding any form of a pump at the moment. However, I think before everything is over, I think you're going to see some form of a sustained outperformance by altcoins to get retail back into the market, even though Fed probably likely not going to cut rates this year. They're not going to end QT, even though that doesn't look prime for, dare I say, alt season. I still think you're going to see some form of a durable outperformance by altcoins at some point in this cycle, just from a technical perspective. But that requires Bitcoin to continue pumping to the upside. Okay, so I think next target on Bitcoin will be around $120,000. So we're looking around 15, around a 15% move from current levels before another pullback. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think Bitcoin will pump to 140, 150 before everything is finished, and yeah, I think that is gonna create some form of euphoria in the markets before this is all over. I just can't see a world where retail interest doesn't come back and we don't get a blow off top. I cannot see a world like that. Even though Fed policy is very restrictive at the moment, I still think retail will come back at some point, and that's why I want to jump into some of the altcoins that I've identified with good setups that we can capitalize on next. Okay, so let's take a look. All right, let's take a look. First of all, I want to take a look at this chart here. This is the chart that I showed you in my last video, and lo and behold, we have taken the lows. Okay, we have taken the lows on this, just like we did on all previous occasions, right? Now look what's happening. Okay, we're making lows. Okay, we're making lows, but we're pulling in this is called bullish divergence, right? This is on a weekly time scale. So we're putting a low here, a lower low, but a higher low on the weekly RSI. So that is showing some divergence here between the lows. All right, that is showing some form of divergence. And if we see here, if I take this on a daily, all right, if I take this on a daily time scale, we could also see that as this started going lower, you can see the RSI started making higher lows, right? This is making lower lows, that was making higher lows. Now, if you come back to today, you can see, right, even though we're making lower lows on the price, even on a daily time scale, it's looking like it's putting in a higher low on the RSI. That is bullish divergence on the RSI. So this has swept the lows. It's looking like it wants to rip, right? My only concern is this trend line. It hasn't quite flushed, so we could see a little bit of a move down to 3132 in the coming weeks. But I do think before after the next FOMC, which is I think on the 17th of June, I think you're going to see some form of an outperformance by altcoins. Okay, now first of all, before we look at any altcoins on the USD pairs, I want to look at the Bitcoin pairs, because you want to be looking at this chart. Okay, so first of all, I have identified why I think Bitcoin is going to pump. Now I want to identify which altcoins I think will perform well against Bitcoin, right? So this altcoin called AVAX, okay, I want to do the analysis on the Bitcoin pair, okay, because that for me is the most important thing right now, because I think Bitcoin is going to pump to 120, which is around a 15% move from here. This, you can see, is also putting in bullish divergences, right? Low, 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 higher lows on the RSI. We've got bullish divergence. It looks like it wants to rip. All the volume again is showing accumulation here. All right, so if we're going to pump, this will pump quite fast because we've already had the accumulation here. So once it starts pumping, it's going to move through these levels very, very quickly. We've got no resistance here. So in my opinion, the next resistance point is going to be up top around this low volume node, or the next obvious one is the value area high. Okay, the value area high. So if we do get that pump, we're looking at around 140 to 190% rise to the upside on AVAX, okay, against its BTC pair. And I think I will take that bet all day long from here, right? I'll take that bet all. You didn't want to be long from here, right? I'm not longing from here. I'm longing from a very, very, very low level. So if you think I'm stupid, that's your opinion, but I'm buying at a much safer, much better place here. A lot of people still bearish on altcoins. I'm not 100% bullish on them either, but I think we're going to start seeing some form of outperformance by some of these altcoins. Maybe not a full-blown alt season, but we are going to see some form of a durable outperformance, right? So if we say we get 150% pump AVAX against this Bitcoin pair, add on another 20% from Bitcoin, that gives you around 180 to 200% pump on AVAX. So if we look at AVAX currently, when Bitcoin dropped, it dropped quite heavily all the way back down to $18. And I did buy some here. I picked some up, right? I picked some up here because the longer this accumulates, the better it's looking, right? Just like we saw here. The longer it accumulates, I think we're going to get a big push to the upside. If we get a 200% move from here, we go past the previous highs. That puts us around $62, $63, right? That would be very, very nice, right? Even if we get 150%, I'm happy with the returns, because you're not really going to see that return on Bitcoin, right? You're just not going to see that return on Bitcoin from here, not in my opinion. So yeah, I think from here, I think you have a better chance of outperforming Bitcoin, right? For the best part of 4 years, these altcoins have been underperforming, but your job is to identify when these prices are starting to look attractive and at which point in the cycle you want to start rotating. Because at this point in the cycle, ask yourself the question, do you think Bitcoin is going to do 100% from here? I don't think so. Okay, I don't hold that opinion, but I do think some of these altcoins are going to do that. Okay, I do think altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin from here. Okay, so I think these are very, very good spots to buy. Okay, if you're not in, I'd be looking to buy here. All right, another altcoin that I'm looking at is Link. Okay, another altcoin I'm looking at is Link. Against this Bitcoin pair, we have just tapped into the 0.5 of the Fibonacci level. Also, this downward sloping trend line, I want to see this reclaim. So I think this is a bit of a fake out. This is quite common, and then we just get a rotation back in. Okay, so this could easily pump now to the upside 0.5. Again, bullish divergences. All right, bullish divergences. You can see it's making lower lows and higher lows on the RSI. So we've got bullish divergences on price against the RSI. So again, everything is looking nice here. Yeah, so I'm liking this. I think we'll see at least this. Okay, and if I see that, that's going to be a really nice move, right? That's going to be a 99 to 100% move. It could still be a lower high. I'm not saying this is just gonna, it's gonna flip and it's just gonna rocket to new all-time highs. I'm not expecting that at all. I mean, this could just be another lower high and then we roll over again, right? But this move I'm talking about, you want to be a part of that, because you're not going to get 100% pump to the upside on Bitcoin from here. You're just not going to see it, right? So at this point in the cycle, it just makes more sense to me, in my opinion. You didn't want to be rotating out of Bitcoin anywhere here, right? You didn't want to be rotating anywhere here. But as soon as you get to these lows, right, you have an argument to rotate some money out of Bitcoin and into altcoins, right? But in order to do that, you got to know how to do technical analysis, because you don't know when this is going to turn around, right? But we've got a pattern here that we can take advantage of. Everything is lining up. So we have reasons to believe that some of these altcoins are going to start outperforming from here, right? Some of them are outperforming. If it does this, great. I capitalize, I make more money. But even if it doesn't and it does this, I still outperform Bitcoin, right? I take my profits, 100%, 120%, pump on Link from here. If you look at the USD pair, it's really taken a hit, okay? But the longer, like I said, the longer it goes on, the stronger this accumulation gets. 100% pump from here will take it to 28.29. I think it's got a chance to get past this this high here. Maybe it doesn't. But if I get 100% pump, I'm taking my profits. I'm rotating out, maybe back into Bitcoin, maybe back into stables, right? But that's the way you got to approach these markets right now. You can't rely on thinking that we're going to see alt season. That's no guarantee we're going to see alt season, right? Another one I want to be looking at is FET. FET is looking very, very bullish in my opinion. Okay, very, very bullish. And the reason why I would buy FET is because the strength is showing here. Not only that, I think obviously Ethereum versus Bitcoin, Ethereum looks like it wants to rip, right? I think Ethereum's going to get to at least $3,300. I could do more technical analysis on this, but I don't really want to drag this video on for too long. But my point is, if Ethereum makes 3,300, 3,500, you're looking at about a 50-60% pump to the upside. Whereas if this goes to like 180 or $2, you're looking at 170%. Even if it gets down to here, you're looking at 280, 300% pump to the upside. So your risk to reward on here is greater. It's a greater reward. You might want to downsize on your allocation. However, this looks a far better risk to reward than I would say Ethereum, because if you look at Ethereum USD and I overlay Ethereum USD, it looks pretty much identical, right? Look at this. Ethereum goes down, FET goes down. Ethereum goes up, FET goes up. Down, up, right? FET is doing the exact same thing, only this part, right? Where Ethereum made a new high, FET didn't. But right now, it's looking very, very identical. Ethereum made this high, made this pump. FET also made a pump, right? Now, if Ethereum continues pumping, I can reasonably say with a good degree of confidence that FET is going to do the same thing. And if FET does the same thing, then I get a bigger reward for my risk, right? Rather than longing Ethereum here. So for me, this is looking very, very identical. So this is the reason why I'm taking my bets on FET USD instead of Ethereum USD. Not to say that Ethereum is not going to do well from here. If Ethereum breaks its all-time highs, I expect FET to break its all-time highs, right? And if FET breaks all-time highs, say Ethereum goes to 5K, FET breaks its all-time highs, which is 350. This goes to say 450, something like that. It's a 5x, right? Ethereum going to 5K from here is a 100x, right? So you get my point. You're getting a lot more reward for the risk here. Obviously, if it starts coming down, then that's the risk you're taking. That's why I wouldn't allocate a large percent of my portfolio to FET here. Okay, but I hope you can see why I'm starting to like some of these altcoins. I hope that you can see why my argument is valid when I say, even though the macro doesn't line up, I believe that we are going to see some form of altcoin outperformance against Bitcoin. But you want to be very careful with the altcoins that you pick, because not all of them will outperform here. So those are my 3 picks for now. If I have others that look interesting against their BTC pairs, I will obviously send out an alert on my Discord, which if you're not part of, you need to hit the subscribe, hit the like button for the YouTube video, link is in the description for the Discord. Come and join it. You will get first-hand free alerts on when I'm taking these positions. Okay, but I hope I have given you some value in this video. So guys, if Bitcoin continues pushing from here, I expect altcoins this time to follow, and the altcoins that I have identified in this video look prime for some major moves to the upside. Now let me know which altcoins you're looking at, which altcoins you're buying. Hit some comments, let me know what you're doing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. Thank you for watching. Peace.